Welcome everybody to today's session. My name is Justice Okai-Allotey. I'm the program manager for Wikimedia Ghana user group, and we're going to talk about Wikipedia 101, editing Wikipedia in 30 minutes. This session is supposed to be a very practical session, and so I'll take you through the concept of Wikipedia, the rules and regulations regarding Wikipedia, and then we'll do a few practical sessions on how to edit. So during every program that we do, we observe a friendly space policy. This policy basically is to guide us on how we engage. No, there's no wrong or right answer. Everybody is supposed to speak up their mind. If you feel threatened in any way, you just mention my colleague Robert, and he will be able to deal with it. What is Wikipedia? So Wikipedia comes from the word wiki plus encyclopedia. A wiki is a website or a database developed collaboratively. So any platform that is be able to, you can work as volunteers on it. It's a wiki. You cannot edit a BBC.com website or somebody's Facebook page. That is what separates Wikipedia from all of those things. And not all wikis are related to Wikipedia. So WikiLeaks has no bearing on Wikipedia. And Wikipedia is owned by the Wikimedia Foundation in San Francisco. So why more people should edit Wikipedia? And why should you edit Wikipedia? So for example, I edit Wikipedia for a variety of reasons. Basically, content gap around African subjects on Wikipedia is missing. And so I chose to edit Wikipedia just to fill in that gap. Also, there's a lot of related subjects or articles in Ghana that are not on Wikipedia. And so this form of training that we do is to guide people and also to help bridge that content gap that we keep talking about. Yeah, so basically this is anatomy of a Wikipedia page. When you create an account and you sign into a Wikipedia page, this is how it looks like. You would see the logout buttons, contributions. These are your contributions that you make on the platform. This is beta, so if they are testing any application or anything, you can go there and check. The preference is you go there and you customize your wiki anyhow you want it to look like. There's also a sandbox where it's for you to try, you edit anything on there before you move it to main space. There's a talk page where you have conversation with other volunteer editors on Wikipedia. And there are 2 notification buttons, and then there's a user page. Also, you can see the article's talk page where conversations around this article can be had on there. There's also the read section. There's the visual editor, which is edit. There's the source editor, which is edit source. And there's the view history. And also there's a drop-down button that gives you options to either delete a page, delete a page and do other things on there. Also, there's a Wikipedia logo here, and then there are various content pages that you can reach out to. This is like a short version of a Wikipedia page where you can see the introduction, you can see the body, and then the reference section. But because we didn't get a chance to screenshot that part didn't show. And this is an info box. So if you see a Wikipedia article with an info box, it basically gives you an idea of what the article talks about. So quick editing rules. Any contributions that you make on Wikipedia must be verifiable. Your contribution should be neutral. So you have to write from a neutral point of view. When we say the neutral point of view, what we mean is your content should not be promotional. Your content should be in the third person as much as possible. Your content shouldn't tout the person that you are speaking about. And whatever you put on there, you should be able to back it with a source. Also, we avoid original research on Wikipedia. So if you see any original research done anywhere and you noticed about it, you cannot put it on Wikipedia. You can only put it on Wikipedia if it's been sourced. So if you find a newspaper article about that research, that way it qualifies. But the original research, you can't go and pick the original research and dump it on Wikipedia. Also, you have to avoid conflict of interest on Wikipedia. You cannot edit about a company that you belong to. You cannot edit about your family relations. You cannot edit about yourself. That is very important. So anytime you try to edit any article, you have to make sure that you are very independent of the subject that you are editing on. And also your sources must be reliable. Wikipedia falls on third-party news sources, books, journals. That's where we pick our sources from. So anything that you put on Wikipedia, ideally, you should be able to back it with a source. And so without any reliable source, you cannot put any information on there. And also, there should be a test, a notability test. So this is like one of the most important tests that any article must meet before it gets on there. So basically, before you write about any subject, you would have to make sure that you Google the subject, check if they have enough independent news sources about them, and then once they do, you can proceed to write about them. But if they don't, you stay out of it till when they get to a point where there are enough independent sources about them, and then we can write about them. So examples of an editor's job. So as an editor myself, I create articles about subjects that are not on Wikipedia. Also, when I see a subject that lacks certain vital information, so far as I can find independent sources for them, I fix it. I also fix spelling mistakes, or any editor at all can fix spelling mistakes on Wikipedia. Adding references to Wikipedia is also a very key job of an editor. Also, nominating articles for deletion. There are certain articles that might not meet the notability criteria. So once they don't meet the criteria, you can nominate that article for deletion. Also, improving stub articles. So a stub article is a short form of a Wikipedia page. Even though they are notable, there's not enough information on them. And so we create a stub article just to make it possible for us to put them on there. And later, it could be improved when we find more sources. So we'll do a little demo where we'll try our hands editing certain subjects. So basically, we'll try our hands on a few articles that are. So I'll basically show you what a stub article is, and then we'll see if we can improve a few Wikipedia articles. So like I mentioned earlier, this is a talk page of Nathan Kwabena ADC. He is also known as Bolare. Okay, yes. So this is an Efiapokua, a Ghanaian journalist. We'll try and see if we can add certain information on here. that is not on there. So, like I mentioned earlier, this is a stab template that has been put on this article. Basically, what it says is this is a Ghanaian biographical article. It's a stab. You can help Wikipedia by expanding it. So any editor that sees this automatically notices that this article needs help. And when we look at this article, we could see it doesn't have an info box. So what we are going to do is we are going to add an info box to this article. So because I'm used to the edit, so there are two edit modes, the visual editor and then the source editor. This is how the source editor looks like, and this is how the visual editor looks like. The visual editor is more of like a drag and drop feature, like platform, whereas the source editor is like you are writing code. So for those who are software developers, you might be familiar with this kind of editor mode. So we noticed that this article doesn't have an info box. So one thing I must also add is anytime you want to create any subject or article on Wikipedia, you can always look up what other articles says, and then you can pick inspirations from them. So we are trying to create an info box for Efia Pokua. Something like this. And so we'll find, so let's say Jifa Bampo. Okay. So Jifa Bampo is also a female journalist. So you can see she has an info box here. We pick it up, copy it, come to Efia Pokua's article, and then we paste and then we change the values. So the name of the person is Efia Pokua. Her alma mater, so let's see if we can find the school she attended. Okay, so she attended Laboni Senior High School, Ghana Institute of Journalism, the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. So this is an independent source we can use for that purpose. So then we come to an article, and then we can change our alma mater here to Ghana Institute of Journalism. Also, we can change this to Laboni. Laboni Senior High School. So the reason why you can see these boxes over the name is anytime you want to link an a word to a different Wikipedia article, you put 2 boxes in front and 2 at the end, and it automatically, once you publish it, it automatically goes to link it to the article for Ghana Institute of Journalism and then the Laboni Senior High School. So once we publish it, then we'll get there. So Efia Pokwa is a Ghanaian media personality, head of programs. Okay, so for occupation, we can say news anchor, broadcaster, journalist. That is accurate. We don't know if she's a PR person. And years of activity, you use the year she started her professional career in radio. It doesn't mention the year she started, but it says she has worked for 19 years with multimedia. It's a very valuable information, so we'll see how we can add that to the article. So we'll take out the portion that speaks about year active because we can't verify that information. We also don't know her date of birth. We also don't have her image. So I think with what we have now, we can publish. So we go to publish, and then we'll click on show preview to see what we've done. So you see that formerly this wasn't there, but now it's showing. So then we added an info box to the article, and then you can publish it. So you will notice that it's now been added to the article. So when you hit on the Ghana Institute of Journalism, it actually gives you a link to an article. When you hit Laboni Secondary School, it also gives you a link to an article. Also, red links are usually links that don't link to anything. So usually it's sometimes there for people to notice that they can create an article for this red link. But in this case, since we don't want it there, we'll just take it off. The red link is the Despite Media Group. Yeah, so this is it. Yeah, and then we go here, show preview. It's no more there. So we come back, removed a red link, and then we publish. So far I've made 2 edits to this article. If I want to check the 2 edits, this is them. So my username and then what I did, and then those 2 edits that I did. And also I can see anybody who has worked on this article and what they did, which is the beauty of Wikipedia and its collaborative nature. So this person created the article, added references, added a category, and then a few other people too came to add up to it. So we noticed this article doesn't speak about her education. So we would add her education to the article. So usually education comes right after the introduction, which is the section here. So if you want to create another section, you put 2 equal to sign and then education, and then you close it with a 2 equal to sign as well. So now we'll try and we'll try and fix the education sector. So we'll first go to the article that we saw, which had a biography. And he says she attended Laboni Senior High School, Ghana Institute of Journalism, and then GIMPA. Okay. So Efia attended Laboni Senior High School for her secondary education. Then she then proceeded to the Ghana Institute of Journalism and later the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration for a bachelor's degree in law. So you will notice that we've written the text in such a way that it doesn't, it's not promotional, and then it just states the fact of her education. So she attended Laboni Secondary School for a senior higher education and then proceeded to Ghana Institute of Journalism. Because in the article it didn't mention what degree she had in Ghana Institute of Journalism, we'll just leave that one out. And then, but for here it mentions she graduated in law, so we can add that. So then we'll come here, copy this, and then at the end of this subject, of this sentence, we cite. So cite basically is adding reference to an article. So then you put the link to the web, you generate a caption, and then you insert the link. So then, same process, you come here, show preview. It actually shows you what we've added to it. And then you come back, we added, or I added her educational background to the subject. And then I publish. So any editor that sees what I've done so far can just go to the history, and then in a brief seconds they might be able to see all the edits I've done. And the more you edit, the more your edit count goes up, and the more you get certain rights to edit Wikipedia. For a starter, formally, when you're a beginner, you can actually edit, you can create an article from scratch, but now because of the vandalism and all those things that goes on the platform, beginners have to edit a number of times before they can be given the right to create an article. So it's 10, right? You need 10 or more edits to show and be a confirmed editor before you can create a separate article on its own. So if we can find another information on her, we can just add it. Okay, so we can move some of the information in the introduction to a career. So we will create a career section for her. So below the education section, we we create a career section, and here we can just so um, okay. So then we can pick this information. Uh, Wait a minute. Yeah. Usually introductions are not that much, so we can just copy this information and bring it to her career section. So let's see what we've done. Yes, so Ifya Pokwa, aka Vim Lady, is a Ghanaian media personality and the head of programs at the Despite Media Group, operating Peace FM, OKFM, NEET FM, and Hello FM in Kumasi. Great. So she is the former editor of Adum FM, a subsidiary of Multimedia. 7 years ago, Ifya had attempted to quit Multimedia following a misunderstanding she had with the management. In 2018, she founded the Sugar Dam Ministries and gender parity activist group set up to parallel the Pepper Dam Ministries. So we can actually move that information to a different section. That because that is a volunteer group, we can put it under volunteer works. So created a career section and a volunteer section for this article, and then we publish. All this I'm doing is to demonstrate the numerous information that you can upload to Wikipedia. So you don't necessarily have to create a new article. Some of these things are some of the things that you can do to improve a Wikipedia article. So let's say we want to create a stub article for the Despite Media Group. So I'll show you how to edit, create a new article from scratch. So we'll come here. First of all, we'll look at the multimedia group to see how their structure looks like. Okay, so basically, this is how the multimedia group looks like. And then we just try and see if we can duplicate and use it for Despite Media Group. But first of all, we would Google the Despite Media Group to see if they are notable. So we go to the news section. So there's something about Despite Media Group here. There's another one. There's also a mention of Despite Media Group here. There's also a mention here. So you will notice that I'm not checking blogs, I'm just checking actual news websites to see if we can find a lot of information on there. Okay, so there's a Tunisia organization. Okay, So there are a few news items about Desmai Media Group here. Great. So then we will proceed to check if the Desmai Media Group has already exist on Wikipedia or somebody has tried to create it. So when we search, we notice none. So you will see a red link here. So we will do an advanced search and see if it appears anywhere else. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Okay. So the advanced search doesn't give us any anything to be, so they haven't been created. So then we'll click on this. So because I have, okay, it's already been created before and it got deleted. So let's go and check what happened. This was in 2019, so 2 years ago. The editor has archived that information. So we can still go ahead and create. If you are creating a new page with different content, please continue. So because we don't know the content they deleted and we are creating a new one, so we'll bolding Despite Media Group is a Ghanaian media organization. So let's see the framing of the multimedia. It's a media group in Ghana. Okay. So it's a Ghanaian media organization so let's go and find out how many media agencies the Despite Group has. So we can find this information on their website. Maybe you can find an article. So let's say it's a Ghanaian media organization, full stop, and see the number of stations they have, and then we can use it to create a stub article, and later we'll find time and improve it. Wow. Okay, so media business. So they have Peace FM, OK FM, Neat FM, and Hello FM, and then UTV. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they have 5 media organizations under them. So the Despite Media Group is has has 5 different media organizations, namely Peace FM, OK FM, Neat FM, Hello FM, and United Television, UTV. So we'll move on to the next section that talks about radio stations under them. So we just Despite Media Group owns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 owns four okay, let me just do 4 radio stations, both in the Ashanti region of Ghana and the Greater Accra region of Ghana. The names of the station are, so then we list them. Peace FM, OK FM, Neat FM, and then Hello FM. Also, we will check if both or all of them have independent articles. So Peace FM. So yeah, Peace FM Ghana has an article. So we can actually link Peace FM to the name here. So we'll check if OK FM. Okay, so they are here. Hello FM Ghana also has an independent article. Neat FM also has an independent article. And then OK FM also has an independent article. So we can link all of them to it. So then we come. So they have TV stations as well. So TV stations. The Despite Media Group operates United Television, UTV, a free to air channel in Ghana. So then we'll create a section for reference. And then we'll add stab templates to the article as well. So we'll come here and see the category mass media in Ghana. Okay. So yes, we can find the category the stab category that we needed. So this is an African media. So we come to and then we add it to now we'll find the sources. So this is a proper website. We can reference it. So same process. We'll generate a link for a citation. And then we'll find more. Because this is their own media organization, because of the conflict of interest situation that we mentioned, we cannot use anything from Despite. So we'll find independent ones and use. Okay, so there's a reference here. Okay, so there's Oprah News. So there's a mention of Despite Media here. So we can also add it as a reference point for the article. The more reference you get, the more it improves your the balance of your article on Wikipedia. So we can't use this. We can't use this. We've already used this. So let's go to. Okay, so there's another story about Despite Media here. There's another story about Despite Media here. So we can reference. So we can reference it here. And then we can also so far we've had 4 references, which is okay. So when you want to let the references aggregate below, you just put another subject here, reference, and here in here you put a ref list in the bracket, and then you publish. So created a stub article for Despite Media Group. So basically, this is how you can create an article from scratch. Yes, I think we've covered all bases now. Any questions?
Are there questions? Okay. So Justice, very very nice to meet you. I know so much about you, but I've not met you in person. My name is Emmanuel. I work with GIZ. I just wanted to know, maybe you had mentioned it at the beginning, but just wanted to know what the opportunity is for young Ghanaians on Wikipedia. What do you stand to gain? Is it more about personal development, or is there any financial gain from being a Wikipedia editor? Maybe we said.
So basically, should move. So basically, Wikipedia is a free or a volunteer-based platform where anybody can edit. The good thing about Wikipedia is the more edits you do, the more you grow in the community, the more opportunities you get to travel to conferences, to workshops, and all other platforms. So I, for instance, because I started editing somewhere 2015, I've had numerous opportunities to attend Wikimania. So Wikimania is actually the biggest conference of the Wikimedia movement, where all volunteer editors across the world, all over the world, meet to discuss the future of Wikipedia. So I've had opportunity to attend 3 of those conferences, all paid for by the Wikimedia Foundation, basically because of the work that I've put in for the community I represent here in Ghana. So these are some of the opportunities that you get. There are also a lot of learning opportunities when you use Wikipedia. For instance, when I started, I was a very shy person. I couldn't even do what I just did here when I started some 6 years ago. So this has built my confidence, my presentation skills. I've been able to get access to a lot of soft tools to use to further my personal career and also to further the work that I do on the wiki. So it's basically a great opportunity to learn and also to. So the bigger for goal for me is to get more information onto the wiki platform, because there's the the sad aspect of not telling our own stories, and also because of that fact, we because of that fact, it's also good for us to own our narrative on the wiki. Before I started editing, I didn't know anything about Wikipedia, and when I began, I got to know that almost majority of the content on Africa on Wikipedia wasn't created by Africans, and so you can imagine the gap in there. And so as I started editing, there's been a lot of people that have joined various countries. There's been a movement of African Wikimedia editors. When I joined, there were almost about only 5 or 6 user groups. Now there are about 20 plus user groups in Africa alone, which shows the quality of the people that are joining us. And so it's always, for me, it's about the storytelling. The storytelling is the most important aspect for me.
And what you just took us through, the amount of research that you go through, even looking at what is a good article, which one to trust, and all of that. I think it's a skill that you just don't wake up and have, but it's something that you develop. So it's always a good thing to engage in. And there are lots of young people that are entitled and do not want to volunteer. So anything that they do, it's about, what can I get today? No one is thinking about the bigger good.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, the storytelling, I think is one of the things that is lacking in our ecosystem. So many things happening and no one is telling those stories, and we are losing out on that. I would give an example. You are in the space and would know how Nigeria is placing when it comes to Wikipedia. Are they telling more stories? Because in the startup space, we see Nigerians telling more stories than in Ghana. So it even raises the equity of the startups as well, because the more you tell stories, the more value that you're adding to the startup. So just give me a sense of how we measure with Nigerians.
So the good thing about that is, prior to Ghana becoming a user group on Wikipedia, there were only 2 Wikipedia organizations in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, as a matter of fact. So there was the South African chapter and there was the Kenyan chapter. And Ghana was the 3rd user group in sub-Saharan Africa. We got our certification in 2012. And from then on, I think Nigeria got, after a year or 2 after we got our user group status. And so we've grown, but you couldn't understand the numbers of Nigeria. So there are a lot more editors joining Nigeria user group than would join Ghana because of the sheer numbers. And also because we are still growing. Now we are building partnership with educational institutions where we are going directly to the schools to get them to train their students. With Gimpa Law School, for example, we did a Wikipedia education program with them where the teacher actually gave assignments through Wikipedia and graded the students through it. So it's a form of bridging the gap between Wikipedia and education, because there's been a lot of misconception about Wikipedia and education for a long time. So this kind of programs, even though they are very little, but they go a long way to help the students build their fact-checking skills, their writing skills, and a few other things. So we engage a lot more institutions to be able to get them to actually embrace Wikipedia and use this as a training tool, not to get them to actually use the platform in their works or thesis, but just to use the platform to aid the students in their education, basically.
Right. Thanks so much, Justice. And if you want to have a Wikipedia page and you are not a Wikipedia editor, what would be the recommended way to get? And I know a lot of politicians, a lot of business people who want to grow their brands online would be looking for things like this. And I just want to know what the proposal is from your side to get a Wikipedia.
So basically, what we try to do is try to get a lot more editors, because the more editors we get, the more notable people can get onto the Wikimedia platform. So basically, once you meet the notability criteria, anybody at all can put you on Wikipedia, regardless of if they are from Ghana or not. But because we are based in Ghana, our focus and scope is only in Ghana. So there's a notability criteria on Wikipedia. When you check, it would show you what to do if you want to get a Wikipedia article. You can't create one for yourself, so you always have to find a community around you and try and implore them to see if they would accept to create about you. Because it's a volunteer thing, you can't force anybody to grow, and you can't pay money for somebody to put you on. Wikipedia frowns on that. And so one of our conflict of interest policies is not taking money to put people on Wikipedia. So you just have to meet the criteria, find editors in your community. If they are willing to write about you, fine. If they are not, you wait till somebody finds the value in you and your notability, and then they put you on.
It's just on a lighter note. The last time I was discussing with a friend, and I said, if you search for celebrities in the West or in Europe, you would always see something like their birthdays. Okay, this is how old they are. And it was like in Ghana or Africa, most celebrities you never see when they were born. It's just like, this is the person's name, this is where the person works, and you go down to education. And it was just a funny thing that I observed. Yeah. And it's a difficult information to find out. I would imagine.
Yeah. So a lot of the celebrities here actually don't mention their age in several articles. So you notice that those that mentioned, there are just a few of them that we can actually pinpoint their ages in articles that we find. That's where we can put it on. But here, we can't, because they don't mention their age. And even in Brazil, it was a big issue. So there was this actress that had her age on her article, and she said she wanted it to be removed. But the community there said they found their age in an independent news website they trusted, which was a credible source. So they kept it. She took it to court. She lost in the first instance. She went all the way to the Supreme Court, but she still lost. And so the age stayed on the article. In her defense, she mentioned that because of her age, she doesn't get gigs. But to the editor, that's not his fault. He found the age in an independent source. So then he just had to put it there and reference that. And so these are some of the challenges that some of the celebrities try to avoid. And so they hardly mention their age in any publication.
So we have one working group. What do you call them, working groups? Or what do you?
So we call them user groups.
User groups. We have one in Ghana.
No, there are about 3 user groups in Ghana.
Okay. So a user group, like you meet often, or how?
Yes.
How does
it? For example, the Wikimedia Ghana user group, we have times and the various activities that we run. So we have a calendar for the year where we run different activities during the year. Same for the other user groups as well. Our focus is a bit different from the other user groups. So, but we all are trying to improve Ghanaian content on Wikipedia. That's the bottom line of our existence.
And are they in other regions, or are they all in Accra?
So there are a few in other regions.
Okay.
Even though we are also in Accra, we have volunteers in Takrade, we have volunteers in Koforidua, we have volunteers in Kumasi, Tamale, Dambai. So we've been to all those places to have workshops to train people. So we have volunteers from all those places that are editing content on Wikipedia for Ghana. Yeah.
So how does one become like a member of a user group?
So the basic thing I would say is follow us on all our social media pages. On Facebook, we are Wikimedia Ghana User Group. On Twitter, we are Wikimedia GH. Instagram, Wikimedia Ghana. Anytime we have an event, we post it on there. Or you can visit our website, www.wmgh.org. That's where you'll find a link on how to be a member of our user group. Once you become a member, we have a platform where anytime we have events, we post it on there for people to attend.
So it means you can join as a Wikimedia editor without being part of a user group.
You can actually. So we do online workshops due to COVID-19. This was one of the newest things that we started, where we announce it. Anybody that CSA can be able to join us.
Okay. Yeah, this is really amazing. I'm really excited about what content, the content gaps that we have. Like, there's so much that we are not creating, and it even results in loss of knowledge and culture. An elderly person was just talking about how much traditions we've lost because we haven't documented so many things, and you search things online, and sometimes even someone abroad that has written about it, and when you read it, you can sense the lack of local content because the person is writing from somewhere and doesn't have the context. So it's really good that people who are even looking for jobs, for me, if trying to recruit someone, I look at how much they volunteer, because it shows that you have initiative, right? It shows that you are not just waiting for a job, but you are doing something to help the community. You are contributing to a bigger goal, and this is what young upcoming professionals should be doing. Looking back in this digital era that we find ourselves, if you look 6 months back and you can point to something that you've done, I think it always shows that you are not creating enough. So every 6 months you have to look back and say, what have I created in the last 6 months that when I'm not here, people can benefit from? And if you are not doing that, I just feel you are not contributing enough. So thank you so much. I don't know if you have any final words to...
One of the things that we've noticed is there's a lot of... we lack female editors. So any female volunteer that wants to join us, you are welcome. We need a lot more females to start editing, because already there's a content gap of female articles on Wikipedia, and also a gap of female editors. So the more female editors that we get, the happier we will become. So if you're a female person out there, kindly reach out to us, send us an email, community@wmgh.org, and we'll always be there for you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And this video, I know they are online guests as well, but this video would also be uploaded later on all our platforms. And the tutorial that we just saw here, you can always watch it over and over again. And like Justice said, you can join them if you are passionate about creating content, passionate about Ghana and putting Ghana out there. Please contact them. Is there any amount of hours you should spend per week on Wikimedia, or is it just just by your own pace?
Yeah, it's always by your own pace. The more committed editors, you notice that they have a lot of edits because they spend a considerable amount of time on there. There was this article I read about an editor that wakes up in the morning, gets his coffee, comes to sit by his desk. He's working, he's editing, he's working. That's all he does. But some of us, because we have to, in our professional lives, we have other things that we do. Our edits are not up there. But even though we make time for it, anytime I see a news item about something, I try to Google and see if it's on Wikipedia. If it's not, I'm like, okay, so this is not. So then I mark it down and then I'll work on it later. So these are some of the things that we, as editors, it's the prompts that we get to. And it's once you become hooked to it, You always want to do more.
It becomes part of your life.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Thanks so much. Very exciting stuff. And like I said, we would end here and look forward to having a lot of you join Justice and the team and all the user groups that we have in Ghana and be part of this great project. Thank you so much.